This is the story of a Frenchman celebrated in the United States as a hero of freedom.
Lafayette is more than the Galerie Lafayette in Paris to buy an overpriced sweater.
A young aristocrat with revolutionary ideas who crossed the Atlantic in the name of American independence.
General Marquis de Lafayette is part of everyone's understanding of our own history.
His daring cemented French support for the Americans in their war against the British.
We as Americans need to keep sacrificing for our freedom, for our rights, for the rights of man.
200 years after his final visit, the country remembers the French general who left an indelible mark on a fledgling nation.
Vive Lafayette!
Yorktown, Virginia. It was on these waters of the Chesapeake Bay and on this battlefield that the fate of the American Revolution was sealed, thanks in particular to the Marquis de Lafayette.
If they know anything, they'll know Lafayette. De Grasse or Rochambeau know. Lafayette is going to be the French officer they're going to know.
Lafayette was only 19 when he decided to go to America to take part in the War of Independence, bringing with him both the ideologies of the Enlightenment and a thirst for adventure.
Silas Deane had promised him a major general's commission in the Continental Army. He's only a captain in the Noailles Dragoons in the French Army. Only when he decided that he would serve at his own expense, they're like, oh, great. So they give him a major general's commission and he meets with Washington.
The immediate friendship that developed between the two men marks the beginning of the Franco-American alliance, and Lafayette helped put an end to 6 years of fighting on the 19th of October, 1781.
Yorktown, this is the final battle of the Revolutionary War. France's support both by naval and land forces will be important to the ultimate Allied victory here. Lafayette is the one that helped influence King Louis XVI to join in an alliance with the United States against Great Britain as our only official ally, that is the Kingdom of France. Lafayette, throughout the Revolution, is going to champion the ideas of liberty and equality and the rights of man, and he will take that back with him to France.
Nicknamed the hero of two worlds, Lafayette returned to Paris, where he played a part in the French Revolution and later the fall of the Napoleonic Empire. He didn't return to the United States until 1824 for a 13-month farewell tour. Now, 200 years later, that tour is being celebrated this year in the 182 cities he visited, particularly in Richmond, Virginia, where the French general was also an honorary citizen.
He received a hero's welcome everywhere he went. But of course, he spent a disproportionate amount of that tour in Virginia. He, in fact, was able to once again remind us that being a champion of liberty is not a moment in time, but it is a perpetual journey, and therefore we stand together as we celebrate the enduring alliance of our two nations.
The US's oldest diplomatic relationship began with Lafayette, and it continues to this day.
Lafayette gives us a chance to look back, and we look back at what friendship means and sacrifice. And then we look to today, and that same friendship needs to exist, and the same understanding needs to exist. And then we look to our future, and we are reminded of one truth, that together we are stronger.
At his residence, Virginia's Governor Glenn Youngkin spoke to a crowd of French and American dignitaries about the importance of Lafayette. It's the oldest in-service governor's mansion in the United States. It's also where the Marquis de Lafayette stayed during his tour.
Governor and Madam Yonken, it is indeed an honor and a privilege to be here in your beautiful home. It's been, I think, over 200 years since my last return, but it is equally as beautiful, and I am delighted to meet with you.
This actor has been portraying the Marquis de Lafayette in museums and historical reenactments since 1999 and has perfected both his accent and his backstory. A trained historian, he explains the young officer's personality.
Lafayette's love for America was manifold. He loved the ideas that the Americans were fighting for. He felt like it was a war like none other in the history of man that embodied many of those great ideas of the philosophes, of Voltaire, Rousseau, Montesquieu, Locke, of representation in government, of an equality of mankind. But I would say the symbol of that was George Washington himself. Washington was in many ways a father figure to Lafayette. Washington embodied many of those heroic ideals of the ancient world, of Cincinnatus, of service to the nation, and not wanting the glory for yourself, but to serve your fellow citizens.
Lafayette's legacy in the US is so enduring that over 600 places bear his name, including this high school in Williamsburg, the town where the first American colony was established.
Bonjour, monsieur. Bonjour. Salut. Salut, bonjour. Salut, bonjour. All right, bonjour tout le monde. Aujourd'hui, nous sommes en train de faire la discussion sur Général Lafayette.
In Carrie Moore's class, history is a way of teaching French and passing on fundamental values to her students.
We have a story that we actually read about General Lafayette's day, basic information and facts, and we need to keep that spirit alive in the history to make sure that students for future generations know about him. But the fact that he was French is also super important for the French students as well. So,
Carrie encourages her students to ask questions about General Lafayette's life, but also to remember that without France, the United States might not exist.
Pensez-tu les Américains à gagner les révolutions américaines sans les soldats français?
ah, est-ce que tu penses que les Américains peuvent gagner la guerre de la Révolution américaine without les Français et Général Lafayette?
Avec le français, l'Américain a une grande, how would I say, fleet?
Opportunité.
Opportunité
Oui, c'est ça, yeah.
pour le gagner en Amérique et en la mer.
Excellent, très bien.
At 17, these students are almost as old as the Marquis when he joined the revolutionaries. So could they imagine themselves in his place?
No,
It's scary. I would love the opportunity, honestly. I think
I can imagine
cool.
him in that position. I cannot imagine myself.
Lafayette may have been an 18th century figure, but he is still inspiring new generations.
La vie de Lafayette a été très importante pour apprendre l'histoire des États-Unis et la France. It's important for all schools in America to kind of pass down that knowledge to their students, just because it's important, especially if your school is named after him. It's important to know why, just because, like, history doesn't repeat itself.
After Virginia, General Lafayette headed south on his American tour, stopping off at Beaufort in South Carolina. Where he disembarked his boat to rapturous applause. Patriotism is alive and well here, as this small state was the scene of the largest numbers of battles in the War of Independence. At the podium where the Marquis, then aged 68, would have spoken, actor Mark Schneider recalls his character's values.
Let us hope and pray that one day all might be welcome under the banner of American freedom, despite the color of their skin, who their parents are, or how much money they have within their pocket, but simply by what they can do and offer to this great nation.
Whilst donning a costume from the past, Mark delivers a contemporary political message that was not lost on those who came to hear him.
We as Americans need to be cognizant of our democracy and what it means to us.
And it's a good time for him to visit because this country's in some turmoil and democracy is really important for it to survive. The world is in crisis and it's important for the Allies to stay together and NATO to stay together.
Lafayette was not only a soldier, but also a dedicated follower of the ideas of the Enlightenment, which fueled his fight for equality. He was also a profound humanist.
For Lafayette, not only is he symbolic of that relationship betwixt America and France, but he's also a man who fought against the horrible institution of slavery. He lent his voice, his right arm, his pen, and his purse until his dying day to try to bring about an end to this. Also a friend of the indigenous population, the Native Americans. In truth, he was adopted by members of the Iroquois-speaking nation called the Oneida up in New York back in 1778. And he was an advocate for the Native Americans, always looking after their best interests as best he could. But here's a man who wanted to change the world. He is worthy of being remembered.
In the United States, Lafayette is a historical figure on a par with the Founding Fathers. It's a beloved status that he never quite achieved in his native France. He may have fought for the idea of freedom, which is so central to American identity, but Lafayette was unmistakably French. Above all, he was a man of the New World, one of the first to believe in the American dream.